A memorial commemorating so-called comfort women of the Second World War is the latest front in the battle to reform the Racial Discrimination Act. A group of Japanese Australians today lodged a formal complaint against the Uniting Church, using a section of the Act we've been hearing a lot about in recent times, 18C. They say the monument on church grounds in Sydney creates racial divisions and has offended and insulted many Japanese expats. Advocates for Change say the case is a perfect example of why the Act needs to be overhauled. Hayden Cooper reports.
We feel we are intimidated, we were targeted, that's for sure. The comfort women statues being erected all over the world have never been a peaceful monument or commemoration or honoring women. They are always used as a tool of political activities, campaigns against Japan.
The statue's aim or object is divide the community. So by importing the overseas dispute between Japan and Korea.
I think the aim of the statue is to commemorate victims of war, isn't it?
It is not true.
Being in Australia, we like to live in harmony. You know, that happened 75 years ago, whatever. And this statue will not bring the harmony, but division.
This is the memorial that's causing so much grief for one Japanese group in Australia. A small commemoration for the women forced to work as sex slaves for Japanese soldiers in World War II. Reverend Bill Cruz offered to place the statue here at his church after a local council backed out.
So it means a lot to me, an enormous amount. And to the Korean people who come, they come from all over the world, and they come and they sit there and they cry and they leave flowers and they come in and they hug me and kiss me. I think this is just amazing. And to find that people are saddened by it really saddens me, because it's more about hope. It's more about saying, let's build a better world where things like this don't happen and never happen again.
For the Japanese, there's no more sensitive issue than the country's wartime past. As the Imperial Army marched across Asia, 200,000 women were forced into sexual slavery, most from Korea or China. The memorial was set up by Sydney's Korean community.
This is our effort to restore the honor and dignity of those girls who were abducted by Japanese military force during World War II.
That is a sore point for Australia's Japanese residents, some of whom even dispute the very detail and language surrounding the issue.
In my own opinion, the using sex slaves are not appropriate, because that are prostitutes, sure, but they paid really well. Japanese army is not involved in that sort of activities. The Japanese army involved welfare for the comfort women. The comfort women being treated properly. What about the hygiene system? Because if the hygiene system is very important for comfort women as well as for the soldiers.
As president of the Australia-Japan Community Network, Tetsuhide Yamaoka is more diplomatic.
Comfort women's system did exist. Okay? So we all should be sympathetic to any women, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, doesn't matter. Okay, the people, women, children suffered in every war. Okay, so there's no argument over that. However, it has been politically utilized by many activists.
He believes this statue is part of a worldwide movement to set up memorials and stir up anti-Japanese sentiment.
We have seen many negative things happening overseas and start happening in Australia in relation to this comfort woman thing, because it's not a pure commemoration as such, it's highly politically motivated. So this is from the United States. Right? So clearly, what message they are sending out And then this is from Seoul. Right? That's highly political and highly, actually, violent.
The Japanese solution is the Racial Discrimination Act. Using Section 18C, they've lodged a case alleging they've been offended, insulted, humiliated and intimidated on the basis of race because of this monument. Can you believe that it's come to this, that they're going to lodge an 18C case against you and the church?
No, not at all. I just find it outrageous.
You're not prepared to move this, I assume?
No. Well, my thing is bring it on. The only move this statue will make is from here to the front, to Liverpool Road. That's the only move. If anyone else tries, then they'll have to deal with me.
So it'll go in a more prominent position?
Much more prominent.
In that case, the Japanese complainants want the plaque on the monument changed so it no longer singles out Japan.
Do not specify the single race, just like Japan or Japanese.
For the nation's political class, this case has added significance. It comes as coalition MPs escalate their push for changes to Section 18C, specifically the removal of the words offend and insult. The former Human Rights Commissioner Tim Wilson is one proponent for change.
This is a classic example of why Section 18C of the Racial Discrimination Act needs to change. This is a classic example of what happens when you have a test that sets too low a threshold where people seek to use the law to resolve their differences of opinion about matters that might offend or insult a different section of the community.
The Japanese group behind the complaint says it's prepared to take it to the federal court if it can't get its way through the Human Rights Commission.
I think it's unlikely to succeed once it gets to a court, but it's likely to trigger the test under the law and then be considered by the Commission, which means everybody has to lawyer up and present their arguments.
In the meantime, Tetsuhide Yamaoka and his supporters want divisions of the past to remain in the past.
Well, this is really not about winning or losing because, as I said, we are expressing community concern, okay? We don't want to work against anybody. We just want to go on, move on in a peaceful life. I don't have to be engaged in this anymore.
It's one of the proudest things I've done. One of the proudest.
Reverend Bill Cruz and the Uniting Church are unlikely to bend. Instead, they're determined to commemorate the comfort women of World War II.
The whole world should see it. And once again, it's not against the Japanese people, it's for the women who suffered in war. And I can't see one woman in the world who wouldn't want to see a statue like that.
Hayden Cooper with